Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We're really excited. You're all especially, hold on, let me mute everybody. Especially since this is a holiday weekend. So really appreciate your commitment to human rights and voting rights and all that we're fighting for here in Florida and around the country. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our presentation and introduce your leaders to you tonight.
Yeah. Well, let me introduce myself while she's pulling that up. I'm Anna Anselmo. I'm one of the co-leads of Broward for Progress. And we have Jamie Hubbard here as well. I don't see her on the screen, but if she can pop in and say hi.
Hello.
This call is off the record and close to the press, but it will be recorded, just so you're aware. So if you're not comfortable with being recorded, you might want to turn off your camera or pop off at this time. So if you guys have already started this, but if you could introduce yourself and where you're from in the chat, that would be wonderful. And I see there's people from everywhere, and look at Tennessee representing. I love that.
Yeah, we have so many awesome folks from around the country helping out Florida. So we really appreciate it.
Y'all are experts by now, but just in case, Zoom tips, we're going to keep everybody muted until it's time for the questions and answers. You can use the chat feature. If you have a question, if you could pop question in there, we'll make sure to get to it, but it makes it stick out more. And just thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Oh, and just to keep down on spamming, at the end, there's no candidate or like group spamming because we want to keep focused to the agenda. So at the end, we'll leave it open for everybody. But if we could just keep to the agenda for the meeting, that would be appreciated. Okay, and social media is all about that. So if you could follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and share. The more you share, the more people see, the more we get our voices out, and it's a simple ask. It's an easy way to do it.
I just dropped into the chat our social media handles, so thank you so much. And Anna introduced herself, and Jamie did as well, and that's me, Lori Woodward Garcia. We are your co-pilots tonight, so thank you all for allowing us to indulge you in the work that we're doing here in Florida, in Broward, and around Florida.
That's a picture where all three of us were showered at the same time, so we're very proud of that picture.
Yes, we are. And here is our awesome video. Hang on, let me click play.
Broward for Progress is a grassroots group of volunteers committed to advancing and advocating for progressive values, such as healthcare for all, education, immigration reform, LGBTQ+ rights, racial equity and representation, environmental sustainability, and others. We use our efforts to increase voter education, registration, engagement, and participation. Committed to an inclusive and progressive future, we mobilize to achieve it. People must come before profits. All community members deserve to be healthy. Everyone deserves to be healthy. Everyone deserves affordable housing and economic stability. We all have a voice, and there is power in our voices. We do the work from letter and postcard outreach, organizing voter registrations, and educating our community. We are grateful for you. For you are Broward for Progress. We take action for our community, from visiting members of Congress to organizing protests, and sometimes we even hit a nerve.
That just so makes me smile every time I see that. And our agenda tonight is we'll be talking people power, issues that need advocacy, how we're going to mobilize voters, and upcoming events. All right, people power.
Before we start, I just wanted to clarify there's two logos on that on the screen. Yeah. If you could clarify that for anybody who's new.
Yeah, hold on. Yep. So Broward for Progress started with us in Broward County. We were original door knockers, then we started an indivisible group, then we morphed into Broward for Progress. And because of the work that we've done around the state, we started Florida Voices for Progress. So we've been impactful around the state, and a lot of work that we do here in Broward, we also do around the state. So for example, the recent letter campaign to school boards, we started that in Broward. We saw success with that. We shared with our friends and neighbors around the state. Voila, 125,000 letters later. So we do the work to try and help other counties as well. So that is Florida Voices for Progress. So there's a lot of overlap in what we do. So we tell people we're not just about Broward, because we'll have folks that are interested from out of state. They want to help Florida or other counties, and they're concerned that it's just Broward. It isn't. We do work at all parts of the state, and I'm very proud of that. People power, one of my favorite topics. So Broward for Progress, that you just heard of Florida Voices for Progress, we champion progressive values, and we are a grassroots group committed to increasing voter registration and participation in Florida. Whether it's supporting a candidate, passing legislation, or working to change our culture, our members are committed to an inclusive and progressive future. We are, and I'm going to stress this, we are a group of people who believe in the possibility of change, and we work to make it happen. People power is not a single person. It's not me, it's not Anna. It's not a party. It's a group of people. It's you, I, all of us on here, and others, thousands of others, taking action on issues and mobilizing the people that we know around us to vote or hold leaders accountable. It's a group of people who believe in the possibility of change, and they work to make that happen, right? So the question is, the people win Florida in 2022. And how do we win Florida? You know, we've talked about this several times in the past, but I just want to reiterate, this is really critical, and we're at that point in history. Americans across this country, Black, white, Native, newcomer, in cities and towns, have shown that we pull through by pulling together. Last spring, we delivered meals and masks. Last summer, we protested to defend Black lives. And last fall, we turned out in record numbers to elect leaders to protect our freedoms and enable us to provide for our families. But now the very same faction that led the perpetrators of the deadly attack on our Capitol are blocking every bill Americans support, from the freedom to vote to creating jobs to making care affordable. These same grifters peddle lies about our election, want to force our teachers to peddle lies about history, are hoping to keep us divided and distracted so they can take away our freedoms and deny us the resources of our schools, our families, and our communities that we need. This is a turning point in our nation. Make no mistake about this. I feel like you recognize this, because here we are on a holiday weekend talking about this. We have to demand that our leaders exercise their majority, eliminate the filibuster, pass the For the People Act, the American Jobs and Family Plans Act, and all the other bills that have been waiting. We, the people of Florida, and whoever is here from any state for that matter, must hold our leaders accountable, do the work of advocacy, and do the work to mobilize voters. And then we will win the fight. We can't do one, we can't do the other. I hear a lot of times people in the party say, well, just vote. No, that doesn't work. We have to connect with people on issues. We have to connect with people in their heart, what matters to them, their family, and their circle. And we also have to do the work. I hear advocates that are only on an issue, but they aren't willing to do the electoral work. We have to do both. That is how we win Florida in 2022. We have to chew gum and walk at the same time. We have to connect with people on issues, and we have to be willing to do the work. So remember what I said earlier. It is a group of people that believe in the possibility of change and are willing to make that happen. So I want to know from all of you, are you part of that group that believe change is possible? And are you willing to do the work to make that happen? If you are part of that and you believe in change, then please put in the chat yes. And if you believe in it and you're willing to do the work, put in there yes. I'm not going to come knock on your door tomorrow morning. Don't worry. I just want to know that you're here in the right place, because if you're not, then we're going to say, you know what, you're on the wrong flight, because this room isn't about coulda, shoulda, woulda. This room isn't about what isn't going to happen. This room is what is going to happen in Florida. This will happen. Whether or not you believe it, whether or not you think this is the right way, change is coming. Make no mistake about it.
And she may not knock on your door tomorrow morning, but let me tell you, she will knock on your door. So she'll let you sleep in tomorrow morning, but she'll knock on your door.
So we can push for progress in this state. Let me tell you something. We are a progressive state. We may not feel like it, but we are. We almost elected Andrew Gillum, the most progressive, amazing Black candidate in the history of Florida. He lost by 0.5% in a gerrymandered state. Don't tell me we're not progressive. We are. We just have done a terrible, and I'm not saying we, the party, the folks that are getting all the big dollars have done a terrible job in messaging and outreach. So we can do this. We've got all these options that are available to all of us to connect with people with issues and get them mobilizing to go vote. Letter writing, postcards, canvassing, phone calls, you know the drill. This is not rocket science. This is connecting with our folks in our community. And yes, we're in a pandemic, but that is double down. Like, this is even more of an opportunity. I don't see this as a hindrance. I see this as a hell yes, this is an opportunity. So we've got a lot of opportunities ahead of us, but I'm going to remind folks who are on here who didn't respond yes with the excuses. I will hear time and time again excuses. Oh, people aren't going to change. Let's just focus on voting them out. There's not enough people in Florida. It's not going to change. It's going to happen quick enough. My question to you is, whose narrative is that? Is that your narrative, or is that the GOP's narrative? Because my narrative is change is coming. Those are excuses. And they're comfortable, and they allow us not to have to get dirty and do the work and feel uncomfortable. But what they ensure is that we are in a safe space, and we're not in a safe space right now. Our country is in peril. Our nation is in peril. The state is in peril. We are literally, I think it's 3 or 4 heartbeats away from a complete power shift back to Trump. 3 or 4 heartbeats. So this is not the time to be excuses like it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. We've got to believe it. We've got to want it. It's going to happen. And we got to work for it. So call to action. We're about issues. This organization has grown by thousands over the past few years because we connect with people's issues. Some people come in and out of this movement on an issue for their family when it's right for them, and that's okay. These are the top issues hitting our state right now that you can talk to people about, and it's okay if they don't work for you. It is completely okay. So one of them is right now in Congress. I'm sure you've all heard the reconciliation is going on. We need you to be reaching out to your Florida members of Congress to seal the deal. The $3.5 trillion, it's not a pie in the sky. It's paid for, it can be done. It's super easy, and it will help Florida. So we're going to drop into the link a call to action, which you're going to get. This will take you to our Action Network page. When you do that, it will send a direct letter into all the Florida members of Congress. Okay? So we need them to hear from you. So far, there's only one that's committed to this deal. We need all of them to commit. So please, if you're going to make that, send that letter in. call your member of Congress and say, I want you supporting this reconciliation. Not one penny less, not one penny less than 3.5. I'm a progressive, and to be honest with you, we asked for 10. So 3.5 is like bottom, bare bottom. Like it should be more than that. And it's paid for. It is not, we're not going to go in the red. Don't believe all that nonsense. It's paid for by doing what we should have done, which is holding the wealthy and corporations accountable for their share. The other thing, which I'm sure you've all heard, this state is on fire with COVID. We need to keep calling out DeSantis and holding him accountable. Florida lawmakers have constantly supported him around the state, school boards. We can push back on that, and we have. Now, Anna was there first thing when Broward County was meeting at the school board with a group of people to protest, and this group mobilized letters, and we've helped around the state, and you've seen by one counties around the state pushing back against their school board. But you know what? 10, or I don't know how many it is now, 12 counties. There's 67 counties in Florida, and we still have a problem with COVID. Our baseline in this state is we need to keep masks on for our kids above, if our positivity rate is above 5%. We've heard from medical professionals that we need to keep masks on if our hospital beds occupancy is above 85%. That's just common sense, right? If the science tells us that's what it's going to take to eradicate this pandemic, then we need to do it, aside from getting the vaccinations. So we have to do this. So we're going to drop into the chat. Please sign this and you'll get a follow-up email. Everybody, you can do this every day. This is a petition. We also have a letter writing campaign. We need to constantly push them. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, oh, Lori, they're not going to change. Oh, wah, 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 wah. And I will say to you, our job is not to push. Our job is not to worry about what they do. Our job is to stand up for our community. And when we do this by the thousands, and when we do this by the millions, then change happens. That's why you saw not one county, but several counties. And we've got to keep doing that.
I want to jump in for a minute because I got the sweetest direct messages. I just want to talk to you about the power of your voice, because when we went in front of the school board, I expected to go in and I went blank, like right before I was going to go talk. I knew why I was there. I was mad. I needed to say my piece. But then I didn't know what I was going to say once they called me up there. And so I just spoke from the heart. 24 hours later, we got a call from NPR. They've been running it, from PBS. The reason I'm sharing this is because one voice that may not even know what the heck they're talking about, but speaking from the heart, made a difference. Okay, everybody's voice made a difference, but we got a lot of publicity. I've been getting notes from people saying, hey, actually my husband has, but I heard your wife on NPR. It just, you don't know how much impact your voice has. You have to use it. And I say that because a lot of times people, I want to just reiterate what Lori has said, will tell you that's a bad idea, don't do it, etc. You're wasting your time. Why are you emailing DeSantis? Why are you calling Rubio? It's not about them. It's about your voice. It's about your power and not letting that power go to waste.
That's right. And you know what? They pay attention to the calls. They pay attention to the letters and the petitions. So it does make a difference. Now, as I said, my job is not to make a decision for them. They're going to have to do that in the day. My job is to protect my family and speak out and hold my leaders accountable. And one of the other things that we're also advocating for, this is a no-brainer in Florida, tell your member of Congress, and I'm going to drop in the link, we need them to expand Social Security. Social Security has not been updated for years. It is in jeopardy of running out of money. So again, all of this can be paid for. It's not going to bankrupt us. Don't buy into that. I'm dropping this into the chat. Please help get the word out. Sign this petition, campaign, hold on, lost my chat there. There it goes. We want everybody to make noise this week with your members of Congress on Medicaid, Medicare, all these issues. This month, this is it. This whole reconciliation back and forth, the deal making, all that, it's rubber meets the road now. So I know people are in there about filibuster. We can talk about that later. I'm not worried about that. Make those calls, send those letters, do the petitions, Medicaid, Medicare. These are Florida issues, environment, all of this. So you got there the link on expanding Social Security. Again, that can help millions in our state. This one really irks me. If you learn about this issue, the SSI, supplemental social income, you would be frustrated like I am. There is in this nation what's called a poverty line. And unfortunately, if you have a disability or you're elderly and you're poor, you have been trapped by our government in a system that puts you sub-poverty. Let me repeat that, sub-poverty. That is absolutely insane. When two people in this country hold as much wealth as the bottom 40%. The fact that we have sub-poverty and our government is mandated is absolute insanity. So please, for the love of God, if you're going to pick an issue, pick this one. I'm going to put it in the chat. Read about it, share it, tell people, call your members of Congress and ask them. I'm very disappointed. We don't have more Dems supporting this. We need them to support that. So again, everything that we put here, you will get in a follow-up email. You'll have all these call to actions, and you do have them also on our website, which will include the link as well. So this is extremely important. This hits many people in the state of Florida, and it can make a big difference. And the last one before
you continue, I just wanted to let people know that this was actually somebody who has come to our Broward for Progress meetings who reached out to us and said, hey, can you help me? Yeah. And I think that's important because we're here to help each other.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about all of us. And
thank you for sharing that, Anna. Yeah, that's a good point. If people have issues, whether it's local, state, or federal, reach out to Anna and I, and we'll work with you. And this particular member reached out and explained her story. And this is impactful. This is a way that we can help move the needle. And so we try and find solutions that we can bring attention to this issue and hold our leaders accountable. So that's a good point. Thank you for mentioning that, Anna. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Medicaid expansion. And this is another one that should really put fire in your belly. Okay, the American Rescue Plan created incentives for 14 states to join the rest of the country and expand Medicaid. Now, of course, Florida, we know, has never joined the rest of the country. And this would cover millions in our state. Of course, we know that Republican DeSantis is absolutely against expanding Medicaid in Florida. And in fact, 2 states have already done this, Missouri and Oklahoma. But here in Florida, we don't need the governor and we don't need our senators. What? What'd you say, Lori? We don't need our governor or senators? That's right. We don't need them because we can do this right now. We have to put pressure on our members of Congress. They either add this in under the reconciliation or they bring it up as a new bill. It can be a whole separate item, and we can get Medicaid expansion, which will help millions in this state, and put us on an equity level of other states around the country without DeSantis and without Republicans. So I'm going to put that link in there so you can send a message. And when you're calling and you're reaching out to your members of Congress, you tell them, by the way, you need to expand Medicaid. Either you join this bill or you put it in, you fight for it in reconciliation. So please be aware of that issue. All right. And then next, I'm going to hand it off to Jamie. Jamie's got a special issue she's going to talk to us all about tonight.
Hi there. So I wanted to first apologize for missing the last few meetings. We had a little bit of smoke out here in Nevada that we've been contending with. And my family has also been dealing recently with excuse me, a breakthrough case of COVID in our household, even though we're all fully vaccinated, of course. So we've been having some fun, to say the least, with a house full of 7 people. So it's been a little crazy around here. So we also have the kids just started back to school. So but I'm very glad to be back with you. And this issue of this Texas law and abortion is it's gutted me. It has left me feeling a little hopeless the last few days. I know we all kind of just wanted to curl up in a ball and cry this weekend for what it's meant for girls and women in the state of Texas. So I jotted a few notes down. I wanted to share with you my own personal experience with abortion and why I feel that this is a cause very near and dear to my heart. So I hope you'll hear me out. I know that this can be a somewhat divisive issue, even regardless of the political feelings and who's on what side. I have some close friends who are, they would call themselves progressive, but even they feel a little questionable about where they stand on the question of abortion. So I hope that you'll listen to my story.
While you're getting that ready, Jamie, I just
Sure.
want to say something, and that's something that I hope all of you take away, is that it is completely okay that we don't align always on all issues. That's okay. And the beauty about progress is we have conversations and we're willing to listen and understand somebody else's viewpoint. And I think it takes great courage to share your voice. And I hope that when we talk about outreach to people on issues, that you remember the courage, like what we're going to hear, or anybody that speaks out on issues. We may not agree with them, but we have to be willing to listen and try and understand and come from a place. To me, that is a great sign of progress. It is really dangerous that we're in a nation right now where people don't want to listen to one another. So just wanted to interject that. Thank you.
Definitely. So obviously Roe versus Wade has been the law of the land here in the US for nearly half a century. The constitutional right to safe and legal abortion has saved countless lives, granted women bodily autonomy and reproductive freedom, and allowed millions of women to elevate themselves and their families out of poverty. In the face of SB 8, Texas's new 6-week heartbeat-based abortion ban, and the copycat bans that other conservative states like Florida will undoubtedly trip over themselves to enact in its wake, we must do whatever it takes to protect women's rights to safe and legal abortion. This includes actions such as urging the Biden administration to codify Roe versus Wade into federal law, as they pledged to do throughout their campaign, eliminate the filibuster, as we've been discussing, expand the Supreme Court, and repeal the Hyde Amendment once and for all. I want to share a few reasons why access to safe and legal abortion is such an important cause, as I mentioned. In April 2013, I had to have an abortion procedure after I began to miscarry a surprise, but ultimately happy pregnancy. I went into labor at 17 weeks and eventually gave birth to a deceased fetus. But unlike my previous live births, my body just couldn't complete the process on its own. Because it was extremely slow and painful, my body just wasn't cooperating. I had to have a D&E procedure to remove the remaining fetal tissue. It was one of the worst experiences of my life, but without this quick medical intervention, I could have died from sepsis, and my 4 living children would have been left motherless. The D&E procedure was banned in Texas earlier this summer, I believe in the middle of August, by the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. I recently shared this story about my procedure on my public Facebook page. But there's an even more and deeply personal reason why I might have required access to abortion care at an even younger age. and the Texas abortion ban makes no exception for cases like mine. I met my biological father when I was 12 years old. At the time, I lived in the suburbs of Philadelphia and he lived in Atlanta, but we quickly became close and we realized how similar we were. It wasn't long before he moved to be nearer to me. By the time I was 14 years old, I was spending my weekends with him, and he provided an escape from my mom and my adoptive dad's stifling right-wing, conservative, born-again Christian household. However, our relationship took a dark turn when he became abusive. He raped me off and on for 2 years, and I was powerless to stop it. Eventually, at 16, I found my voice, and I told my high school guidance counselor, who quickly got my mother and my stepdad involved, and the police as well. I worked with a detective, and they explained that my father was very sick and that the only way for him to get the help he desperately needed was to go along with them to get him help, to continue the process, and just to work through it. Eventually, they arrested him. But before he was able to go to trial, he took his own life. People look at me now. I have 5 kids. I had my first at 18, and they can't imagine me having an abortion, because surely someone like me would have had an abortion at 18. If I was going to have one, it would have been when I was facing living in a homeless shelter, being a single mom, losing everything I had, and raising a baby alone. But the reality is that we never really know each other's lives and stories. I didn't end up needing an abortion at 14 or 15 because of my dad's rape and incest, but I could have. My parents in that case never would have allowed me to get an abortion. Their religious views are too against it. They just wouldn't have allowed it. They would have taken me to a crisis pregnancy center and talked me into putting the baby up for adoption. I didn't need an abortion as a pregnant teenager either, on the brink of adulthood with the world at my fingertips, but I could have. I chose to parent my son Gavin and start my family, but I often wonder what my life would have looked like if I had chosen abortion, where I could have ended up and who I could have been. But in the end, I needed an abortion at 29 years old as a happy mom and a loving partner who needed a life-saving procedure because I lost a baby that I very much loved and wanted, who was already a part of my big family. You see, abortions are frequently medically necessary procedures. In many ways, they save people's lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, and many other ways. Sometimes they're voluntary and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're joyous and hope-giving. Sometimes they're devastating. Many times they're both. Oftentimes they have such far-reaching implications that one could never even possibly imagine. But in every single case, they are so deeply personal to the pregnant person's health and well-being that they can only be made between that pregnant person and their loved ones and their doctor, and absolutely not with the government. So thank you. It's just absolutely why we have to be focusing on this issue. And I live in Nevada now, and thankfully right now it's not a risk that I face personally, but Florida is at risk. And I know that your governor is chomping at the bit to get a ban like that passed quickly.
Jamie, so much for sharing your story. Can I get some hearts, some emojis
Oh.
for Jamie? If you appreciate her courage and her bravery of her story, thank you so much. We're dropping into the chat a call to action to send not only our members of Congress, but our Florida lawmakers a letter asking them to protect women's health and support women's right to choice. This is a no-brainer. And again, I know people out there be like, why? Well, let me tell you something. Our job is to stand up and protect one another. And I will constantly be out there fighting for not just my daughter's rights, my rights, but all of your rights. And we should do the same for one another. And hearing her story, each story is different. Each story is unique. But the reality is if we don't fight for it, we're not going to get it. And maybe change happens tomorrow, maybe in a year, but we got to fight. I have to share with you at this moment, I got a very distressing email earlier today from somebody who said, I'm done with red states. I'm only going to support folks in blue states. And I replied back, you know what? I don't cower to a bully. Right? You want to? That's on you. Go for it. I respect people's choices, but the reality is we have to make our stand and we have to fight for it. People want an easy answer. They want solutions today. It isn't going to happen. It takes work. It takes commitment. The fact that the three of us have been here for the past few years fighting in Florida, whether it was at the courthouse or in Marco Rubio's or here registering voters or making calls, we're not going away. Because I'm going to say, hell no. I'm not giving up my daughter's future, our right to choice. We're not going to do that. Now, some other people might think as well, I just want to go where winners are. Great. I want to be there too. But you know what? That isn't Florida right now. That isn't some states in this nation. And either you buckle down and you make a choice or you don't. And I respect that. If that isn't for you, and I said to her, I respect your choice. That's totally on you. No worries. We'll remove you from our list. If you just want to be in whatever, not a problem. So I'm putting that in there, the link for the letter writing campaign. Also, we're working with organizations. I know Women's March is going to be mobilizing in Florida and around the country, a march and different actions. So we'll certainly support and help any organization that is doing that good work. So just stay tuned for that. We'll share that with you when that information comes up. Now we're going to switch to mobilizing voters. So we cannot advocate on issues without the other part of it, right? If we're not happy with our elected officials, then we either hold them accountable and get them to change, or we do the work to remove them with leaders that represent our values. So this organization is committed to both. We hold them accountable first, firm, and we also help to mobilize voters. And the way we're going to do that is several different tactics. Number one, we're going to share information. So I'm dropping in the link. This is on our website. This can happen for anybody, anywhere in the country. Did you know that you can find all things voting and elections on our page there? I just dropped in the link. You can register to vote there. You can request your vote by mail ballot. You can find out information where to vote. You can get election reminders. It's all there on that link. It'll drill down to wherever you are, whatever state you're in. All the information is there at your fingertips. If there's an issue with it, message us. But so far, so good. We've been able to register hundreds of voters off that link. So please bookmark that link. You can share it by email, text your friends, family. We've got a lot of work to do in Florida and around this nation. We've got to register voters, and we need to remind all voters in Florida, because of our crazy politicians up in Tallahassee, that we all pretty much need to re-register to vote by mail. So please share that link with folks. That is the first thing. The second thing is we are once again starting our postcard to voters campaign. I know if you signed up before, I'm sorry, we're a little bit late, but we've already got the addresses rocking and rolling. So I'm going to drop that link in. You can go ahead and sign up there. We are sending those out. In fact, I think we've already had like 100 in the last few days. It's been crazy. So the link is there to sign up for postcard to voters. If you don't want to do postcard to voters, the letter campaign is there. We also help vote forward with the letter writing campaign. That's an awesome campaign as well. So if you want to do that, that is there as well. You'll get that information. Additionally, we are phone banking with Swing Left. So please, if you are interested, and if you're not, I'm going to say sign up. And I'm going to take a moment here. I know cold calling people is hard. It's tough. But you know what? What is tough? Losing your freedom, healthcare, job security, all of that. That is tough. So if you can give me 20 minutes, 20, that's all I'm asking for. Try 20. We hang out, we do a group call together, then we start making calls, we give you the script, we give you training. It's there. All right. So please consider phone banking. Sign up for that. We'll be sharing information with folks coming up. And
let me jump in. I am the worst when it comes to phone calls. I hate phone calls. You text me all day, all night, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll text you back. I can do this phone back. 9 out of 10 times you'll get a voicemail. So you're just literally leaving a voicemail. You're not really talking to them. You get excited actually. It's like, yes, I got somebody.
exactly.
It's not a hard lift. The script is already provided. I just wanted to let you guys know if you're nervous, you can do it at your own pace. So you can make a call, freak out, drink some water, make another call, but every
It's
call
not
counts.
very often. Like I would say maybe 1 out of 50 calls, we have a crazy person. Like it's really, most people are very friendly that do pick up, are very nice. And
I haven't had a cray cray and I'm still looking forward to one. And I haven't had one yet.
you need to be afraid of Anna.
We can't promise you a cray cray, but we can promise you that your calls will make a difference.
So I also put in, we got to show up. That means walk the walk. So if you're interested in canvassing in your neighborhood or areas around you, sign up for the link. We're working on the information to send out to folks wherever you are. We're going to meet you where you're at to start canvassing. So please, the link is there and we'll share that information. The other thing that is critical, and this is really important right now, a lot of people, I don't know if you heard this, they get their news and information from social media. In a state like Florida that has over 20 million residents and only half of those are registered voters, influence comes from social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of that. So if you are on social media, we're asking you to join our team, help us to amplify messaging. Again, I think we're doing a pretty good job. We've grown by thousands because we're getting good information that people want. We're empowering them with actions to take. So please sign up. If you sign up for that, you'll get a daily email. Maybe it's sometimes every couple of days. It's usually a call to action or maybe a call campaign or letter campaign. And we're asking you to share that on social media. Doesn't resonate with you? Totally okay. But please consider signing up for that. That helps us get information out. You know, right now we're touching, I want to say, well, a lot of people, but we need help amplifying because as I said, there's 20 million plus in Florida. So definitely
we need help with is if you could share these links to, we have 71 people on the call right now, but obviously we can't do it all. 71 people can't do it all. So if you could share the links with others, that might be the way they can help.
Yeah.
They may not know about any organization that they can help and they're frustrated at home. And actually that's why Broward for Progress started because I didn't know where to go. And I felt like an outsider. So by you sending them this information, whether it be postcards or calls or texting, it's a good way to open a conversation, but also empowering others because we have the power.
And remember that the reality is most people are frustrated. And so there's a choice. You either retreat and you get angry and upset, or you get empowered and you do something about that. And so we're really helping people make a choice that if they're not happy, like what we did with the school boards, we're giving them a choice to take their power back. And that's really what we should all be doing is advocating for ways that we can take that power back. And I'm really excited that we've been able to do that. And this isn't rocket science, right? This can happen anywhere in any county. And it's what's happened in states that have flipped is people recognize, no, I'm not going to buy into all this nonsense of change can't happen. Because remember at the beginning, I said, these are people that believe change can happen. If you don't believe change can happen, then you need to exit to the left. But if you believe change can happen, then this is how we're going to do it. We're going to give people their power back. They're going to take that power. They're going to tell people, you know what? We can change the school board. We can change our city hall. We can change our governor. We can do this. If you don't believe it, then I'm going to find somebody else. But if we don't believe that, and if we're completely like buying into the Republican that this is the way it is in Florida, That's how it's always going to be. And I'm not going to believe that. So just keep that in mind. We've got a lot of work to do. We've given you the tools, whether it's letter writing, phone campaigns, knocking on doors. We're going to hold your hand along the way. We're grassroots. We're not beholden to anybody. We're wieldly. We're going to make changes where we need. But if we see that there is an issue in our state that we're going to fight on, like, hell yes, we're fighting on women's reproductive rights. Oh yes. We're going to do what it takes to mobilize around the state and help our sisters, because we don't want to replicate what's in Texas, and we're still fighting for Texas. We're going to do the work. And that's what people care about. And when we connect with them, then we're able to say, you know what, maybe you can help us out and go to the polls, right? You notice that all this time that we've been talking, we don't say D's or R's, Democrats or Republicans. We talk to people on their issues, because when we align with them on their issues, 9 times out of 10, they vote with us, right? We just got to talk to them. We got to be doing this work. So the last thing I'm going to share, let me go back to that screen here, is aside from engaging and amplifying, is we have a couple of upcoming events. And this week, there's one that you'd probably be very interested in. We're part of the Indivisible Florida Network. This is Rebecca Jones. She is the Florida scientist, and let me put on here the link for you all to join us. She's the whistleblower who came to national celebrity status, if you will, for exposing the state of Florida was manipulating the COVID data. And since her outing by the governor, she's been recognized by many leaders across the country for her efforts in combating misinformation online. So that will be on Thursday. Please join us. It's going to be a full house. We're going to hear her story. She is a candidate. This is not a stumping call. This is to hear her story. But she is obviously running, I think, against Matt Gaetz. But this is not
Matt Gaetz. So even though this isn't a stumping thing, she's running against Matt Gaetz.
Exactly. You should know that. But it's really to tell her side of the story. She hasn't had much of an opportunity here in Florida to tell her story. So we're excited that she's sharing with all the indivisibles around the state. And that is it. I'm going to open it up for questions. And I know we've got a couple of different groups or organizations. I know we said earlier we're not asking for spamming or information from candidates or organizations, but we do open it up at the end if you want to share. Maybe you have an event or something that would be of benefit for our members or information. How do we join to see her? Put it in the link there for you.
Before we open it up, I want to go back to the questions that were in the chat. If we could go through those real quick.
Yeah.
Because we've had quite a few.
Yeah.
So the first one was from Annette Dammy, I believe. How can we stop the gerrymandering with the new redistricting?
Excellent. So All in the Line is leading that cause in Florida. We actually have that on our website. I'll make a note to add that link in for the follow-up email you all get tomorrow. But All in the Line has a couple things. They're doing a training, they do events. And if we hear from them, because we're on their list as well, like it's all hands on deck in Broward, get to this meeting or make these calls, you'll all know about it. So my understanding is this week, I believe it is, this is the 5th, this week, Tallahassee, the governor is supposed to announce like the committee that is going to be working on this issue and sort of a strategy. Now, 10 years ago, because this happens every 10 years ago, they go around the state and they do a public hearing. We don't know if they're going to do that. We don't know if they're going to do it by Zoom. We're going to have to wait and see. So I promise you that is on our list of information to share with all of you as soon as we hear anything, you all know about it.
I don't know if this one's a rhetorical question or just a frustration question, but it was a question, so I'm throwing it out there. What do we do with the traitors in our midst, like Sinema and Manchin?
So good news with Manchin, I know his concerns have been budgetary. The fact is that 3.5 trillion is paid for, so he can shut it. Sinema, that's a different nut to crack. We're going to have to work hard. I don't know what is going to happen. I know there's activists out there. Honestly, I'm not worried about the issue of filibuster. I believe that there are good people doing the work. We're going to push hard. Stay focused, but this is crunch time. Stay on these issues with your members of Congress, and we'll see how it goes.
There's also a question with what happened to the Medicaid expansion petition.
So we're still working on that. It's still the same thing. So this bill, there's a bill for Medicaid expansion that can go outside of the governor, outside of the Republicans. That bill is alone. It's separate. That's part of that petition letter writing campaign. But there's also a push to kind of massage that into the $3.5 trillion reconciliation. So our push with all of you and all of the people across the Florida is when you make those calls to your member of Congress, tell them you need Medicaid expansion in the state of Florida, Medicare or Medicaid expansion in the state of Florida. If we don't get it in the reconciliation, then we're going to come back. We're going to start up again, and we're going to be pushing for a separate bill. As I said, I think last time I checked it, and I should have checked before this meeting, there was only a handful of Democrats that were supportive of that bill. So we need to be pushing hard in the state of Florida for them to be co-signers.
Then the next question was about the October 2nd march in Broward County. I don't believe, and I can tell you for sure later on this week, that the march will be a part of the Women's March. So I don't think you're going to find it on the website, but Broward County is doing a march October 2nd in Fort Lauderdale. We have a meeting tomorrow with all the other collaborators on this march. So we'll have more information on it later in the week. And the last one is, will the Thursday webinar with Rebecca Jones be available?
So we have been asked that before, if it's going to be. Sometimes we do publish on the YouTube page for the Indivisible. It has not been confirmed yet.
That's all the questions that were on previously, so you can open it up now.
Okay. I just saw, I don't know, I cannot, for folks I put in there, I'm not able normally to see the direct messages because I'm writing tech, but I did see there was a question, how do we join to see her? I put that link in. It's a Mobilize link. You can sign up for Rebecca Jones. That's on Thursday. And if there's any other questions, you're welcome to put them into the chat, or if there are any announcements, you're welcome to go off mute. Just unmute yourself. We're going to open it up popcorn style. If anybody has anything they want to, I know that was a lot we covered, like, hello, democracy, all these things going on. But I want to recognize the love in this room, because the reality is you care. And that's a beautiful thing. And you're willing to take action. We just need you to grab somebody on the left and somebody on the right. And we keep doing it. Rinse and repeat.
Hey, Lori, would it be okay to speak?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, everyone. My name is Chris Burns. I'm a new hire at the Florida Democratic Party. And back in Wisconsin, I was very involved with the grassroots, and I plan on being the same here in Florida. I just wanted to let you know that we are hiring people to register voters. It pays $15 an hour, and I will drop a link in the chat. Great to meet you all. Great meeting.
Thank you, Chris. Welcome. Anybody else have any announcements?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Ad.
Hi. For everybody else, I'm Aude Sicard, the recording secretary to the Broward Democratic Party. Great meeting, Lori. I'm a progressist by heart, and we at the Broward Democratic Party are doing the same thing in terms of voter registration, fund banking, canvassing. We've chosen a part of our plan for this year is to utilize District 20 as a pilot to see how we fare. We are trying to get 80% of voters out during that elections, and that will be an indication whether or not we can do the same for 2022. So
why don't you tell us about District? I happen to be in District 20, but for those of us that may not be aware, why don't you tell us what's going on in District 20?
District 20 is the district that Congressman Halsey Hastings held until his death. There are about 14 candidates. 2 of them are Republicans. The other 12, I think, or 11, because I think someone didn't qualify. So the other 11 Democrats, they're all Democrats from Palm Beach to Broward County. And elections are coming in November for the primaries, and the general is in January. I think January 11. And November, I don't want to tell a number. I have it, but I can't remember. So this is what we're trying to do. We are counting on our PCPs and area leaders, volunteers, and then the Florida Democratic Party is also helping out for paid canvassers. So they are willing to pay $15 an hour. Even at that price, it's very difficult to employ people due to COVID and all the other issues that we know we have. So I am inviting all of you, if you really want to help us out, since you are doing the same thing, if you would concentrate your efforts with the District 20 and help us arrive at that 80% that we're working on getting.
Thank you, Odd, for sharing that. And to Chris earlier from the Florida Democratic Party, you know, one thing I will say is if you focus on growing people power, you wouldn't have to hire people, right? But we're grateful that you are doing the work, but please, you know, focus on also growing people power, because we need a lot of people. We can't afford to pay all the door knockers that we need in the state of Florida. I think folks here can do the math. But thank you all for coming out. I saw one other question about Tampa. Just so folks know, we have a list over, I think now over 10,000. We've got members all across the state. So we do have a strong, a lot of people in the state of Tampa, in Tampa. We have a lot of cities around the state of Florida. We've been just doing what we do, which is outreach on a regular basis to our community members, and growing and helping them take issues. So if you want to reach out to myself or Anna, you see an issue, you want to plug in your community, we're happy to connect you with the folks there that have already been taking action in the community to do that. I see Vaisel's hand up. Yes, Vaisel.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. I appreciate you calling me, and great meeting and great motivation. Thank you, making it really easy to send those petitions and the letters. And I just want to call out also that invite everyone here. I'm a first vice chair of the Polk County Democratic Party, but I'm also working on starting a Polk Action grassroots groups. There is I don't know how many contacts you may have in this area, Polk County. I'm particularly in Lakeland City, right between Tampa and Orlando, and you know,
we've been working with Barbara, so we're happy to help you all for sure. Absolutely. And for folks who don't know, the reality is we have to have each other's back. Polk County has one of the cruelest sheriffs in the state of Florida. So there is no racial justice. There's no equity in Polk County. And if we can help you in any way, we're going to be down for that without a doubt. So please reach out and we'll work with you.
Thank you. And I dropped in the chat the September general meeting event and the mobilize, and I will reach out to separately on the Polk Action. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
There is a question in chat, and I believe either Chris or Odd can answer this. If students are willing to get involved, can they get community hours?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay. Yes, we need help. Yes, yes, yes. Did you hear what I said at the top of the hour? We are 100% grassroots. That means nobody is paid. We are community members wanting to make a change in our community for progress. And yes, students are welcome to help us. We will put you to work. easy hours. My daughter does it. Anybody can help us. Yes, students will get community service hours. Thank you. Great question.
So if it's okay, I'll put my name and number and email in the chat if they want to reach out to me just for that pilot program. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, going back to CD20 for folks, why other races matter to you, this should terrify all of you in the state of Florida. CD20 is unfortunately I love CD20. I'm in Miramar. I love my city. I love my county. And my representative, Alcee Hastings, was amazing, progressive, passed away. But what is frightening is our governor basically pushed off that campaign for a year. And when he did that, he also kind of put in wheels, if you will, in place that made it difficult for folks that are declaring their candidacy. Now, on the flip side, unfortunately, we have a lot of candidates in this race that have decided to run. And once they do that, they have to forfeit their county commission seat. They have to forfeit their state election seat. And make no mistake, that seat has a lot of power in the state of Florida. It really does. It moves a lot. So it is a concern. If you're concerned about progress in Florida, CD20 affects a lot of us, not just because of who's going to win that race, but also what is happening with the governor's office with the fact that he took so long. And it's primarily people of color district. So again, this is just a really a terrible response. We should have had this election. Well, we should have had it in the summertime. Quite frankly, it could have been done, but unfortunately it didn't happen. Yeah, lack of respect. So we've got a lot going on, but we're going to stay focused. We're going to stay positive. We're going to believe change can happen, and we're going to make change can happen. And if you don't think that, then this isn't the right place for you, because I'm telling you, as somebody who came out of suburbia with Anna and Jamie, what are we going to do about this? Little by little, stay plugged, keep doing the work, pulling people in, 500,000, thousands. We just keep doing the work. We can do this. And not only that, we can push lawmakers, and we've pushed, believe me, we've pushed, and we can advocate for a change. So if you're in another county or you're another part of the state and you want to get plugged in, just connect with us, and we'll be happy to see how we can help you make a difference. And we got to stay connected, because when we work all together, we're moving for change, whether it's on the masking issue or women's rights. We're making a difference in Florida. I got to tell you, outside of Florida, they're all looking at us going, what's going on? They can't figure it out. You know what? We've got this figured out. Our little grassroots group, we've been figuring it out for a while. We've been working hard because all of you, we just need you to grab a couple more and go, you know what? If you can give an hour, if you can do an hour a week, 20 minutes, whatever it is, if you can sign this petition, make this call, that's how we make a difference. Let me just close by saying this. It is my duty to fight for my family. It is my duty to fight for my community. Now, I can look the other way and I can ignore all this nonsense happening around me, or I can say, hell no. You work for us. And you're going to hear from me whether you like it or not. You're going to get my letter. You're going to get my call. You're going to get me getting people to the polls. You're going to hear it one way or another. That's how we change Florida. Don't ever let anybody rain on your parade. Don't ever let anybody on social media, they're all like, can't happen. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. You should be saying this. Do what's working. We're doing really well, and I'm really proud of all of you, and I'm grateful for all of you coming out tonight. Thank you so much. I think we're a little over. I apologize for that. I'm going to check one last time for any last minute questions. Anna, is there anything else that I missed?
No more questions, but I just wanted to say thank you too. You guys are amazing. You guys, I've said this before, but you really truly are my superheroes. You're fighting for my family. You're fighting for my baby. I'm fighting for yours. And I'm going to cry because I do this. I get emotional. But I really do get so excited when we first open up the meeting and I see everybody's faces, because I see, for a long time, I thought I was crazy. I thought, am I the only one that sees it? What's going on? Why isn't this changing? And now when I see your faces showing up, I feel you lifting me, and we're lifting each other. And I never have the right words, and I apologize for that, but I want to just express my gratitude to you for showing up, for using your voices, for taking the actions. I will forever, ever be grateful to you.
I agree. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. I did see one thing I was scrolling there. Patricia asked, have we reached out to the Women's Club of Florida or the NAACP? Yes, on events or different things, we do reach out. Like we, if there's like a national event, we'll partner with folks. Otherwise, our organization, we sort of like are plugging the holes, if you will, around Florida wherever we can. But we're not exclusive. We'll work with any organization that is doing the progressive work and helping to get out the vote. So we welcome partnership, and we look forward to working with anybody that we can help. I can tell you though, it's givers gain. A lot of times people just want us to give them volunteers, or they just want us to give them people to do the work. And that isn't how this works. We're, as I said, givers gain. Our members, we've grown so much because we empower people to take action when it's right for them. So if it's a good fit for our members, we'll present that opportunity to them. But if it isn't, if it's just about getting them, we've had, I'm not going to say the organization, big national organization that came and took our pictures for a long time and took our membership list. And we realized, no, you just really want the work. You're not willing to work with us and partner with us. So we're protective. And one thing I will say, we do not share our membership list with anybody. We're very protective of our members and the actions that they take. We worked very hard, as I said, like last week, over 125,000 letters went out to school boards across the state. That's just crazy. I'm very proud of this little grassroots group, but we do that by protecting their voices and the work that they do. So we're working with other organizations, but please recognize that it's a two-way street, and that it's got to be a giver's gain, and it's got to be a benefit for our members.
I also wanted to mention, because you guys are so beautiful in the chat, telling us thank you. No, seriously, thank you guys. The reason that Broward for Progress came about was because, at least for me, I went to different organizations and different groups, and I wanted to help when I saw the disaster of Trump that we got after, the whole crying in my pillow. Every single time I showed up someplace, everybody would ask, who do you know? Who do you know? And I would say my Girl Scout leader, which happens to be Jamie, by the way. I know anybody with a politician. Why would I know anybody? And so every time people would be like, who do you know? My Girl Scout leader. What does your husband do? What is that? Is my husband here? Like, who cares what my husband does? And so I just wanted to share that story, because I don't want anybody to feel that if they don't know what they're talking about, you're my people. Okay,
Yep.
You're my people.
That's right. And we don't have all the answers either. And that's a good point, is we don't have all the answers. And when we see holes that we try and plug, or issues that we try and plug, somebody that reminds me of a story once where I went into a Democratic Party meeting, and I was putting flyers on a chair, and somebody from the leadership came over and said, who gave you permission to do that? And I said, I did. Right? I did. Democracy should work for all of us, right? It isn't about who you know or this person. It needs to be about all of us taking our power back and making a difference in our community. So thank you all for coming out tonight. You've got our information. I'm going to try and send the email, though it is Labor Day, might be on Tuesday, but you'll get link by link all the information that we talked about, to do two things, which you get a weekly email from me, usually on Saturday and Sunday. You get a call to action, those letters and petitions, make those calls, and you get the calendar, whatever events we're doing, whether it's Broward for Progress or with Indivisibles or Florida Voices for Progress, you have those. 2 emails, and sometimes you get a pants on fire email. Somebody messaged me and said, I can't take the emails. I'm like, 3 emails? Seriously? We do a lot of work as a grassroots organization, so please be patient with us. You do get reminders if you're on the event. So I will say that I do send reminders because it's my job to get you here. So I do send those reminders, but thank you all for coming out tonight. We got a lot of work to do in this state. You saw information from folks there. We'll share that out. Thank you all for everything that you do. Have a great night. Bye, everybody.